Welcome back to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate your time. I want to ask you a massive favor. If you are courageous enough and caring enough to give me a like on this video, it does help me reach more people, touch more people, impact more people, and I really do appreciate it. So I'm going to give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. You've liked the video. Thank you so much. Very grateful for that. And we're going to be going through how to heal through wounds from old relationships, okay? So this does tie into healing as a whole. This ties into trauma. This ties into balancing perceptions, which is what I talk about a lot in my work. And the thing that I really want you guys to understand, this is I got from a fantastic book. It's behind me on my shelf behind me. I got it from the book called You're Not Broken: How to Heal from Traumas and Free Your Mind, I'm pretty sure is the name of it. And the biggest takeaway I got from that book was trauma is unprocessed memories. And if you just sort of sit with that for a little bit and think about that for a little bit, it's quite profound if you just think about it. It's just unprocessed memories. And the reality is wounds are traumas. Wounds are things that you're holding on to. They're perceptions that you have not processed yet, and that means they're out of balance. And what we do, and this is the beautiful spiritual evolution of life that we have, is that you are going to attract people and circumstances into your life to reveal where you have not healed and where you are not free. I'm going to say that again. It's a bit of a mouthful. You will attract people and circumstances into your life to reveal where you have not healed and where you are not free. So what does that mean? It means we all have wounds, whether it's from mum, from dad, from your boyfriend, girlfriend, from your family, from your teachers, from the environment that you grew up as a child. We've all got our own wounds, some more than others. And when you are triggered, that's where you get emotionally triggered. You might get angry, you might get anxious, you might shut off, you might get frustrated, whatever it may be. When you're triggered, that trigger is revealing a wound that is yet to be healed. Because someone who's fully healed, and the reality is you are never fully healed, no one ever is, but pretend someone was. Say hypothetically we had someone that was completely healed. You could say absolutely anything to that person, the most mean, hurtful, direct, bullying statements to this person, and they just sit there and say thank you. And there's no reaction from them. I use the example all the time. If I had a cut on my arm right here, if you're watching the video live with me, if you listen to the podcast, I'm just touching my forearm. If I had a cut on my forearm right here and I had a cat hair, if I touch that open wound, it's going to give me a shock. That is what it's like with a trigger, whether you're getting triggered from old wounds that you've got. The wounds are obviously symbolic of the psychological wounds and traumas and things you haven't let go of, things that you're holding on to. Now, you're going to attract people who are going to continuously trigger that wound until you heal through them. And this is the beautiful but also challenging part of a relationship, is where you're going to get triggered the most is in the paradigm of an intimate relationship. Because we all have an authentic self inside of us. I talk about this a lot in my content, is you have your authentic self. Think of that inner child picture a moment right now when you were a child, maybe it's between sort of the ages of 7 to 12 or 15-ish, and you felt authentic and safe enough to be your authentic self. Be weird, be silly, be gross, be funny, be loud, whatever it may be, dance around. Did you struggle with confidence at that moment? Absolutely not. Because you're expressing who you authentically are. So hopefully, when you're picking your partner, a factor you're looking for and you're conscious of is, do I feel safe around this person? Do I feel safe to express my authentic self around this person? It's a huge part of relationship it's a non-negotiable for me. It's a part that I recommend everyone in their relationships get to a point to where you can both be your truest, rawest selves in front of each other. But because when you're in an intimate relationship, you're going to get to know each other to deepest, by definition of that, you're going to bring all that deep stuff that's inside of you to the surface. They're going to trigger all of those wounds that are in you. That's why you have arguments in a relationship. And some people think relationships aren't meant to be a part of it. They're a fucking part of it. Can you get to a point where they don't blow out into full-on screaming matches? Absolutely. That comes from the healing work. But what some people really don't get through their head is they get into a relationship, they get triggered, they have arguments, they yell at each other, they scream at each other. Neither of each other heal through the wound that was triggered that led to that argument. You then break up with that relationship, you get into another relationship, and the same fucking thing happens again. Because you repeat lessons until you learn from them. You attract the same triggers until you heal from the wound. And that is the beautiful but challenging reality of life that we live in. And you can complain about that and you say, that's bullshit. No, I'm just going to find someone who never triggers me. Well, then you're going to have a fucking very shallow, very lack of intimacy, lack of vulnerable relationship. You're going to have a friend. You're not going to have a relationship. You're going to have a friend. So what I would encourage you to do, I guess, getting to the point of how can we heal through our wounds from past relationships. Wounds are just unprocessed memories. So what I would do is I would write down, pen and paper, let's get super practical. If you're driving right now, obviously don't do this, but even think of it with me right now, is what is it that was hurt, or what did they do or not do that hurt you? Because another way to look at trauma or wounds is it's unprocessed memories. It's lopsided perceptions is another way that I said it. So it's seen more negatives than there are positives. But in the world that I live in, and in the real world of physics and the reality of the universe we live in, every perception has equal and opposite charges of positive and negative charges to it. It's like the pain that you go through at the gym gives you the growth that you're after. The uncomfortable period that you go through helps you grow and develop as a man or a woman or a leader, whatever it may be. So the greater the pain, the greater the growth. So what I would encourage you to do is get your pen and paper, pencil and paper, and write down what specifically did this person do or not do to hurt you. Did they cheat on you? Did they abuse you? Did they leave you? Did they abandon you? What did they do or not do specifically? Because what people do, human beings, we like to generalize. It's just a safety mechanism of our mind. We like to generalize things so we don't have to think too much about it. But we generalize people. So like say, for example, say you met me and within the first 2 minutes of you meeting me, I say something really mean and it really hurts you. You might then paint me that color of a mean person. Now, everything I do, I'm just a mean person because you've generalized and you've painted me a certain color. So when people go through relationships and they're like, oh my God, he was the worst person ever. He never did anything right to me, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. There are some things, maybe many things, that he or she did that really hurt you, but it wasn't hurt the entire time. It wasn't pain the entire time. So find specifically what did they do, go to the moment when and where this person, you perceive them to hurt you. What did they say? Did they touch you? Did they abuse you? Did they abandon you? Did they belittle you? Did they make you feel stupid? Did they criticize you? What was it? Then write down, how has this served me? And most people struggle to answer that question. I'll use an example from my childhood. This is not to do with relationships, but this is just a wound in general, is I had a lot of wounds when it came to my upbringing with making friends. I was really socially awkward. I got diagnosed with Asperger's and I couldn't really communicate very well. And I really struggled making friends. I felt really anxious. I felt really awkward. I hated birthday parties. I asked my mum about it. She's told me some funny stories about them. And it was just really uncomfortable for me. It was really painful and really embarrassing and I felt alone. I felt isolated. I felt like a weirdo. I felt like a strange human. I got called that weird, strange, goofy kid. That's who I was. And that was really painful for me. And until I healed through it, until I did the work that I'm suggesting that I'm inviting you to do now, is I used to judge myself for it. And I would attract more of that into my life. But when I say, okay, well, what was the benefits of that? What were the benefits of being socially awkward? What were the benefits of being isolated? What was the benefits of having challenges with your communication? Well, a big one. It's driven me to learn how to communicate. It's one of my greatest strengths to this day. I research, I read, I watch podcasts, I watch YouTube videos on how to improve my communication. Because of the pain I went through, there are benefits to it, but most people aren't looking for them. Because life is on the way, not in the way. How many times have you heard it? That life is happening for you, not to you. You've heard a version of that 1,000 times. It's the most overused self-development positive quote on the planet. Life is happening for you, not to you. It is true. And this is how you begin to see it. How you see the divine order that's always been at play. It's by changing the perception that you're putting on things. If you put a perception or a judgment on your past relationship that they were the worst person on the planet, that they hurt you and they did nothing to you, they screwed you, they ruined you, then that's the life that you're going to live. You don't see life the way it is. You see life how you are. I'll say that again. You don't see life as it is. You see life as you are. If you're a really angry, sad, frustrated person, that's the life you're going to live, and that's what you're going to see. If you're a very grateful, optimistic, positive person, that's the life you're going to see. So, to go back, I'm getting a little bit off track because I get passionate about this, is write down, what do you think until this podcast, until this conversation, what do you judge or perceive that was wrong in that relationship? What did they do to hurt you? What did they do to betray you? What was it? Be specific. Don't avoid it. Because again, it's unprocessed memories. Let's process it right here, right now. This is how you do it. You write down, what was it specifically that got me? Did they abuse me? Did they assault me? Did they abandon me? What's the benefit of abandonment? It makes you stronger. The bird that never leaves the nest never learns how to fly. So what were the benefits of it that you went through? How has it served you? And you keep asking these types of questions. How has it made you stronger? What are the lessons? What are the skills? What are the perceptions? Have you learned how to set boundaries? Have you learned self-worth? Have you learned how to pick better partners? Have you learned how to filter the right people early on in the relationship? Have you learned how to ask the right questions before committing to someone? Because until you learn this lesson, you are going to repeat it again and again and again. What you're holding on to is weighing you down. What you're holding on to is weighing you down. And it's the judgment and the holding on to which is still attracting more of that into your life. So process it, let go of it. And this is how you do it. You say this, how has it served me? What are the blessings here? How is this on the way, not in the way? And you keep going, you keep asking the right questions. And then eventually you'll get to a point when you say you're grateful for it. And I mean it. Look at, I've got the book here. It's called Man's Search for Meaning. I share this on a lot of my podcasts because it's just such an incredible example. Viktor Frankl went through a concentration camp in World War II. His brother, father, mother, and sister were all killed in a concentration camp. He went through the full experience. One piece of bread to eat for 3 days. If someone drops dead next to you, you keep walking and you don't bat an eye about it. He goes through the whole experience, I believe 3 years. Comes out the other side with gratitude, meaning, and inspiration to give back to the world. And how? How does he do that? He assigns the meaning to what he went through. And we do the same thing. We have the ability to do the same thing. That breakup can be the best thing that ever happened to you or the worst thing that ever happened to you. And the only difference is the choice that you make about what it means to you. So if you can genuinely find how it served you, how it's made you stronger, what it's taught you, how it's made you wiser, what lessons there are in there, until the point where you can say, I'm genuinely grateful for this, then you are no longer holding on to it. And you will stop attracting those same types of people who are going to continue to trigger that wound in you. And that's the mic drop moment that I'm trying to get you guys to have right now. If this is adding value to you guys, if you haven't already liked the video, please like the video. Comment below your thoughts if you agree or disagree. And just to, again, summarize the bit of the activity that I would like you to do is get a pen and paper and just write down, be specific. What specifically did they do that you are holding on to, that you're judging, that hurt you, that was wrong in your opinion, and write down, how does it serve me? Where are the lessons? Where's the growth? How has this made me a better person? How has this made me a better partner? How has this made me a better businesswoman? How has this made me a better man? How has this made me a better parent? What has this taught me for the next relationship? And just keep going until you can genuinely say, fuck, I'm grateful this happened. Yes, it hurt, but it gave me incredible amounts of growth. Until you get to that point, you will continue to attract more of it. That's why it's so important to do the inner healing work. Guys, I hope you got value from this podcast. If you could do me a massive favor, like the video like I mentioned, and send this to a friend. Someone that you think will get some value from this. If you are interested in going further and diving deeper into my work, guys, I have a free offer for you below, a free month access to my content, my premium paid content, where we go through step by step how to heal, how to let go, how to find your purpose, how to create a life on your terms, how to build a business, how to build a deep, meaningful relationship. You can cancel anytime. There's a month free access as a gift for you getting to the end of this podcast. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. See ya.